I knew that was going to happen. My mic was muted. Hey, everyone. My name is Julianne Meyer, and I am the host of Own Your Wellness. And I'm excited to be here today. This guest that is about to come on, she's pretty amazing. And I feel honored that she's going to be on the show. And it almost didn't happen, but we made it work out. So without further ado, I'm going to bring her on. Erica Bigelow, welcome.
Hi. Hello, everyone.
So glad you were here. Oh, my goodness. I always like to start off with the question, about who you are and if you could tell a little bit about your own wellness journey.
So, currently, I am a certified life coach. I fell into this probably about 3 years ago, but clearly was life coaching my whole life, just not recognizing or understanding what I was doing at the time. But a little bit about my journey is that I'm very spiritual. So I've always had this tug or prompted feeling of needing to help some way. Um, Clearly, growing and learning and needing experiences of my own, didn't really understand, what was going on. Right. But taking all of the experiences in and knowing I needed to learn from them in some way, shape, or form. Knowing what I know now, this journey was basically to put me in the position or the space that I am in now. Everything, which everyone has traumas, ups and downs. But I've taken all of those in account to be like, okay, this is for something later. Let me just put that in my storehouse here to help me for later. And now I'm here, and yeah, life coaching and trying to help people feel, be the best versions of themselves.
I think that that's a really powerful way to look at things because a lot of people get stuck in the why is this happening to me? Why am I dealing with this? And part of it too, I always think, well, why not you? Why not
Right,
me?
right.
But I'm glad that you're able to take those things that are not necessarily positive and actually use them for something good. So, if you wouldn't mind sharing a little bit about how you help people, because their life coach is a really broad term, and I would love for you to share about that a little more.
Absolutely. So yes, life coach is very broad, and but my niche is self-love and self-confidence and self-empowerment. I do feel like that is huge. If you lack love for yourself or even understand who you are, it's harder for you to be compassionate or kind to anyone else.
Mm. No, this
You
is
know,
so true. Yeah, no, I love that because I think everything is based on self-love, even how much money we make, how much are we willing to
everything.
accept, how much are
Yep.
we going to be willing to go for? What do we think we
Hmm.
deserve? It all
Exactly.
comes down to that. But
Yeah.
that's another term that people use a lot is self-love. And,
Hmm.
some people think of self-love as like, you know, um, buying new clothes or, getting a facial or whatever the case may be. But what do you consider self-love to be?
So I would put those, again, these are my opinions, not facts. But for me, I would put those things in self care, not self love. For me, self love is someone that actually has compassion for themselves, can
Mm-hmm.
really feel themselves and love that person, And when you get to that space, you're less apologetic about who you are or how you
Mm-hmm.
think or what you want to do because you're okay with it. And that's all that matters. Everyone is not going to be okay with your decision, and they're not supposed to. It's your decision. So you're supposed to own who you are and just love that person and really basically the way I'm training my son, and he's 6. So an easy way to do this is treat yourself the way you treat the loved ones you have. So he'll say something really mean to himself, and I'll ask really quickly, would you say that to one of your friends?
I love
I don't
that.
think so. So why would you speak to yourself like that, but you wouldn't speak to others that way? So just taking that time to really loving yourself genuinely.
It seems like it's a simple concept, but I know that's something that up until recently I've really just struggled with. And,
Mhm.
there's always like an excuse not to, or, the thought of not being enough, or if only I would have this, or, fill in the blank. But I love that you're literally teaching your child that, because it's so true that, I mean, it seems so simple and so basic, but there's so many thoughts I thought to myself. I'm like, wow, I'm a really big bully. I would never say that to somebody else. I wouldn't
Right.
even necessarily think it about somebody else. So why am I
Mhm.
allowing myself to ingest those thoughts and feelings and emotions towards myself? I don't get it. So,
Right.
but a lot of people don't even realize that they're not paying attention to how they're speaking to themselves. How
It's
would
the
you,
awareness.
yeah, exactly, that self-awareness.
Mhm.
How do you, I mean, I know, I only know a little bit about your own journey, but for somebody who's kind of like on the cusp of, hey, you know what? I think there's more out there. What are some things that maybe they could start looking for in their own thinking patterns?
Honestly, just to get it going, start with positive affirmations. So your brain is a muscle. You can teach it to be negative or you can teach it to be positive. But what people don't understand is with the life coaching, I've learned that there's a lot of times we have to do what I call the onion peel. And that is peeling back layers of life experiences and things that have you having this self doubt talks, anyways.
Mm-hmm.
So once we get to that, because you have to kind of figure out the source, right? Because if you don't even know the source, you can just be putting band aids over anything until you figure out what the problem is to get to that problem, you know? So we do the layering back, but in the same time that you're doing some of that, subconscious digging,
Mm-hmm.
we are also building on the other side of saying you are worthy enough. I am good enough. I am lovable. I am, worth someone taking that time out. I can achieve these goals. They're not too big for me. So that your brain can start having these thoughts, because then without you even knowing it, the way the brain is so amazing, it will just start doing things in that light without you
Mm-hmm.
even thinking about it. Just the same way we breathe and blink our eyes as needed without the thought. You're not thinking like breathe, it's happening, so it's the same thing with the positive mindsets and thinking more positive. It just starts to happen.
So, what I think I'm hearing you say is, because you have to start from somewhere, and you
Yeah.
might not necessarily believe everything that you're saying about yourself. But are you saying that's kind of like working out, where you might not, see the difference on the first try, but you got to keep doing it. You got to keep going,
Mhm.
and then you will reap the rewards, and your body does change. So, if your brain's a muscle, then I'm assuming it's the same sort of idea.
Yeah. So, but like you said, believing is first the key, because once you start to find who you are and you love
Mhm.
that person, you want to nurture it and love it, just like a mom to a baby. When you get the baby, you want to make sure you protect it in all aspects of life. So
Mhm.
you need to do that for yourself, to protect yourself and know you are worthy enough for it. And then it goes along with your actions and the way you think, and all of it kind of just comes into, you know, like a circle. All of it, we
Yeah.
need all of it to make it work. We can't miss one of those pieces,
It's
basically.
like baking a pie. You can't miss an ingredient. It won't taste the same.
Exactly. Exactly.
No,
Exactly.
I love that. So, for those people who don't understand, what's the difference between what you do and, say, a therapist?
So I get this question all the time. And honestly, um, so a coach is somebody that basically helps you figure out where you are in the present day
Mhm.
and help you move forward instead of being stuck. But sometimes with that, we have to do a little bit of the digging, not as intensified as a therapist. Again, I cannot put you on medication or even advise that, but I can help you figure out and help you be more mindful and aware of where these triggers are coming from to do something with about it. I do have a lot of clients that have me plus a therapist to help with some extra digging or going a little deeper than I could do, because of my practice.
No, I love that because it's kind of like doctors, you can't go to your oncologist for a regular question. So,
Exactly.
it
It's
doesn't
just
mean that
special things.
yeah, it's not like
Mhm.
one's better than the other. It's just a different specialty.
I just had a podcast the other day with a therapist and a dietitian. So clearly they're all different seats, right? But even the therapist said you need all three. It's
Mm-hmm.
for your mind, body, and soul. So, one piece is missing from one, you get it from the other. And if you don't get it from there, so it's not a competition thing. It's not like you said, good or bad. It's just preference, what people need and where they are in their journey.
Exactly. No, I love that too because it opens up the door. Because I'm a nutrition coach by trade, and I would never take the place of a dietitian. However, that doesn't mean that I am not helpful because I get, behind the why are you eating that?
Right.
Not just
So
telling
then
you what to
there's
eat.
the therapist. They would say you're in their position too, but
Yeah,
yeah, that's just
exactly.
usually patterns come from something.
Yes, exactly. So, I guess what I'm curious about is, you mentioned that you're a spiritual person, and so am I. I'm actually a spiritual
Awesome.
life coach. So I understand you and me. Like, I was so excited you were going to be on the show. Um, but how would you say that that isn't a factor in people's day-to-day life, the spirituality part of things, whether or not they even realize it?
What do you, say that again? What are you asking?
So what I'm asking is, it's for me, spirituality it's like gravity. You don't have to believe in it for it
Hmm.
to be true.
Right.
So how would you say that spirituality affects self-love?
Again, it just has to come down to the fact of you loving yourself enough to make
Mm-hmm.
sure that you're taken care of in all aspects. Again, the mind, body, and
Mm-hmm.
soul. Because once you start to be more aware of who you are, what you need, you'll see what you need, what voids are being missed, what's not being
Mm-hmm.
fed from these materialistic things or things that you think are going to make you happy, which in turn will make you find a different direction. And hopefully that is the spiritual way of finding that is the missing piece, because typically that is what's missing and people just don't want to say it's what's missing.
Yes. Yes. Let me fill it up with cars. Let me fill it up with
Yeah,
whatever the
this
case may be.
fancy
All of a sudden,
job, all these fancy
yeah.
clothes, and then they get all of it and then they're sitting in the middle of the floor like this is still missing, and that's
Mhm.
because that's who's missing.
So I'm curious because you are a life coach and you are a spiritual person. Do you have a way that you start your day? Is there something that you do that, gets your energy in the right frame, or what do you do?
Yes, I take time for me because
Mhm.
I cannot be anything for anyone if I am not okay. So I wake up with my routine. I'll either do a run or a walk. I do a little of exercising to get the adrenaline going. And then I do meditate for at least 15 to 20 minutes just to ease my mind so that I can be 100% present for that person that needs me, whatever hat I'm wearing at that time.
I love that because meditation is so good for you on so many
Oh
levels,
my
and yet it
God.
seems to be like the one thing nobody really wants to do. So
Yeah.
I know that there's different kinds of meditation, obviously.
Hmm.
For somebody who is just starting out or says, I just can't sit still, what would you recommend for them?
There's 3-minute ones. 1-minute one. As a matter of fact, I spoke to my best friend. She's a high school teacher and she has high school students. She starts her Monday mornings with a 3-minute meditation. And she's seen already with students, and this was only a couple months of just being more engaged, not even doing anything different. It just helps you be present and kind of
Hmm.
let the day go as the day is going and not try to rush it to the next thing that we have to do and staying just here. And so just seeing those little things in all of my clients, they first think, oh, I don't have time, this and that. But then when they do it, they're like, oh my God. Yeah, I'm trying. It's like the best thing ever. Absolutely.
Well, it's also a practice. It's a meditation
Yeah.
practice. So, it's not about perfection. It's about just being consistent. And I love that
Mhm.
you promote the shorter, time, because if you overcommit, then you just quit. And
Yep.
it's kind of like, working out. If you work out once a month for an hour and never any other time, that's really not going to do you any good. But if you worked out
Right.
for a minute every single day or 2 minutes every single day, that would be better. You could get some
Yeah.
momentum and you add on to that. So
Yeah.
love
Yep.
that.
So yeah, even with my clients, adult, I say start at the 3 minutes because our
Mhm.
society is to make us feel like we need to go, 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 no sitting time. So
Yeah.
asking someone to do 20 minutes that doesn't understand the concept is a little difficult. So I see starting them gradually. And then they're like, I'm
Mhm.
at 30 minutes. I'm like, oh, okay.
I love that. I love that. And do you, as a life coach, and I know that, like diet's not necessarily your forte. However, that being said, doesn't mean that you don't know anything about food, or doesn't mean that you don't know anything about exercise, doesn't mean any of that. I'm just curious what your thoughts are on, you know, when people use food as kind of like a punishment, or I guess what I'm saying is like, have you ever, I know you have, but you know how sometimes people want to lose weight not because they want to look and feel better, but it's because they feel like there's something wrong with them and they have to change that. So what would you say to, because that's pretty normal. But if you're
Mhm.
coming from a place of loving yourself and you just want to feel better and you just want to be healthier, that's a totally different energy level than like, I have to fix this, I'm broken.
Mhm.
So what would
Mhm.
you say to somebody who, thinks like, I have to do this in order to be okay? Because you can't get away from food. It's not like you can just give it
Yeah.
up,
Right.
So what would you say to somebody?
So the thing is we would start to have the conversation of where is this stemming from?
Mm,
Where is that coming from? Why is that? Why do you even have that idea? And then what would that idea look like if you didn't think of it in that manner?
mm-hmm.
So that they can visualize what's going on? How did that even come into my brain? First of all.
Yes,
Then
exactly.
second, how would it look if I don't feel this way? So then you
Mm.
give them something to look forward to.
I like that. I like that. I think that that's such a great way to start somebody to change their brain, to start moving
Mhm.
that muscle in a different direction.
Mhm. You have to give somebody to look forward to something, you know? You can't
Yeah.
just say, "Oh, maybe it will be there." No, this is
Yeah.
the result. These are the rewards if you do this.
Yeah. I had a guest on a while back and I love what he said. And for some reason, it just really stuck with me. And it was that, you got to, and you obviously know this, but you have to be careful about the way you talk about your body, because when you say that you hate this or you hate that, when was the last time you took really good care of something you hated? And as soon as he said that, I was like, oh,
Yeah, no, seriously. But that's just your words need to be you need to be careful with the words you choose all the time.
Mhm.
Because
Yeah.
if it's just something you're saying all the time, you hate, it's going to be something you're going to say to yourself easily because that's in your
Mhm.
vocabulary. That's how your brain is programmed,
Yeah.
you know? So even with my son, we don't say hate. We don't hate anything, you know?
Mhm.
That's not just because if I feel, and my goal is to get into elementary schools, junior high schools, and, just to get that brain starting to think in a different way earlier than later. Because there's less damage that could be done if somebody could help or give something, a little something for them to live on or, help grow into something more. A seed,
No.
as they say.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Oh, I love that so much. I love that so much. It's so important because, you know, once those neural pathways are built and it's like your brain just goes on autopilot. I mean, how many times have you just been like read a page in a book and be like, wait a second, I don't even know what I read. You did read it, but
Yep.
you weren't paying attention.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that's what you were saying before about like it's a muscle memory. So if you could make it positive, I love that. But for somebody
Mhm.
like a client, for example, who, they're just starting out and you say affirmations are good, do you also teach something like how to switch how people talk to themselves? So for example, instead of saying I need to, or I have to, or I should, and talking about what they don't want, I'm assuming that you teach something along the lines of like thinking about what it is that you actually want.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Which
I
is the
love that.
negative thoughts to the positives immediately.
I
Okay,
love
great.
that.
This is the circumstance, but what could be better?
I love that so
Mm-hmm.
much. Yay. No, it's powerful. I mean, it all comes down to how you talk to yourself. And I really want to touch, we're going to go to commercial break in a minute. And I will really want to touch on self-confidence. But
Okay.
first, because that is, to me, it's an outshoot. I mean, it's sort of the same thing, but it doesn't necessarily, it's not. I mean, it is, but it isn't. It's similar, but it's kind of not the same thing. So what I'm curious too about is for somebody who wants to work with you,
Mm-hmm.
how would they find you?
Well, I can place up my website is probably the best place to get me. Or
Perfect.
I'm on Instagram, Living and Loving Life,
Perfect.
Coaching with Erica. Um,
So why
the
don't,
e-
yeah, perfect.
the
So
website
what
would
we'll,
probably be the best.
okay, great. So what I'm going to do is when we come back from the commercial break, I'm going to make sure and put that up on the screen for everybody so that they have that opportunity. But before we go, I'm just kind of curious, there's all these ideas of, you talk about self-love and it's the basis for, in my opinion, of everything. But
Everything.
are there certain things that you can, I know affirmations are a good way to start changing the way your brain works. Are there certain things that you can actually physically do to start loving yourself? Is there, like maybe journaling or,
Journaling is huge. Meditation is another thing because the
yeah.
truth is that again, back to childhood traumas and programming, our
Mm-hmm.
brain, we have put so many masks on just to fit in
Mm-hmm.
and feel like you're a part of something. So
Mm-hmm.
people don't even know who they really are. So they don't know they need to feel good or to be happy or if they're creative, what they like, don't like. So finding that person and
Mm-hmm.
genuinely finding them, you grow to love that because you're like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
this is me. This feels natural. This is where I should have been. It just took me so long to get there, type of thing. So it's
Mm-hmm.
almost as like a little baby. I would just say
Yeah.
you're like a little baby. The more you see it grow, the more you see it doing different and new, fun, exciting things that is who you are, you get more motivation and you're like, yes. So it just feeds it. And working out, eating your healthier decisions, taking vitamins are all things that can help on the hormonal level as well. But
Mm-hmm.
just doing it and actually doing one thing at a time, each little step, seeing stepping back and seeing like I'm actually making progress. That is a motivator in itself. So just actually finding who you are, I think you'll start to really be like, oh, I really love this person. I'm actually really cool to hang out with, and you'll be like, yeah, I actually want this person to look better. Let's lose a couple pounds because I want to feel better, not because
Mm-hmm.
people say I'm too heavy or too skinny,
Yeah.
whatever, it's
Yeah.
for you. So when you start to
Yeah.
put you in front, you do it for yourself, it hits different than you doing it for everybody else. And it's not what you really want to do.
I love that. That is the distinction too. That is definitely the distinction that
Yeah.
you need to do it for yourself. So this is probably a long question, but what about creating yourself? Why is it necessary to go back and look at all the traumas instead of just creating yourself from where you are now?
Because certain things that we have suppressed, our body will express, period. So our minds are like little, and you don't know it, but your mind is copying and pasting everything. So anything
Mhm.
that's happened, anything that's done, anything disappointed, made you feel
Mhm.
unsafe, has caused little cursors to make us feel certain ways. Those
Mhm.
self-doubting ideas or limiting, I'm not good enough. No
Mhm.
one sees me. I'm invisible. Those come from something. So if you don't know, like I said at the beginning, if you don't know the source of the problem, you can't fix it or find a solution. That's why it's very important to let yourself go through those emotions, pan them out, heal, accept it for what it is, and then move yourself forward so it doesn't keep showing up in life.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful because I know, you know that saying, you keep your issues in your tissues.
Yeah,
It's so
but
true. If you don't
yeah,
address it, it's going to stay there.
yeah, yeah. And then people are walking around anxious and mad and just
And not
depressed.
understanding
Depression
why.
is huge.
Yeah.
And not
Well, you know, it's
understanding
really,
why.
it's common sense too when you think about it, because how many times I mean, I'm going to speak for myself. Have I gotten upset with somebody and it's way out of proportion for anything that they may have even possibly done? I'm like, wow, where did that come from? It obviously is not
Exactly.
about them, you know?
Exactly.
So I get what you're saying. I love
And
that so much.
that is a definition of what's happening. Hurt people hurt people. You didn't even
Yes.
realize why you were blowing up, but then you ended up hurting someone else in the scheme of that. So the better we feel about ourselves, the less we're going to blow up on people, hurt people, and do things that are very mean, because we don't need to. We feel good. We love
Yeah.
who we are, you know? I know it
Yeah.
sounds so crazy, but it's a simple thing once you put in the dedication and commitment to really want that change.
No, yeah, no, I love that. Oh, okay. So we do have to go to commercial break.
Fine.
So we'll be
I'll
back
leave it
in
for
just a
later.
minute. All right, we'll see you in a sec. Oh, okay. This is good. And I can hardly wait until we get back because I want to really jump into self confidence, because that's something that I definitely used to struggle with. And I know a lot of people out there still do. But before we go to commercial break, I want to say hello to everybody who is watching us live. You are always appreciated. And we'll be right back after these messages.
Now, you can vibrationally align your aura. You can gain a larger and spiritual perspective on life, relationships, God, people, wellness, and money. You can also have moments of meditation and reflection any time of the day. And reading the thrilling, adventurous, and mystical story of Shiga will just add more faith to your daily experience of the mystery of the universe.
When drug or alcohol addiction take over, things begin to disappear. Your friends, your family, and eventually, you. Recommended by Dr. Phil, New Method Wellness can help get your life back with individualized treatment plans for dual diagnosis clients. New Method Wellness provides the most highly credentialed treatment in a safe and welcome environment. Call New Method Wellness for your free consultation and ask about our national accreditations. Together, we can put the pieces back together.
As human beings, we are meant to thrive in an environment where true love is shared, where we are welcome just as we are. A space we connect with others with the single purpose to find God as love within. A place we learn to raise our consciousness and vibration for happiness, wellness, and wealth creation. Transformative, an online spiritual gathering for everyone. This invitation is sent to you by www.livingfaithschool.org.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back. If you're just joining us now, my name is Julianne Meyer, and I am the host of Own Your Wellness. And today's guest, very special. Her name is Erica Bigelow, and I just want to get talking. So let's bring her back. Hello, my friend. How are you?
Hi.
So we were talking before the break. This is your website. I just want to make sure that people have the opportunity to look you up that way. And there's quite a few other places where people can find you. But what can people expect to find on your website?
My website just kind of basically explains what life coaching is, how it could help you if you're in a stuck place and trying to move forward.
Mm-hmm.
So simple life coaching stuff, and also my podcast. I do host a podcast as well.
Perfect. And so where can people see that or hear that?
Anywhere. It's Living and Loving Life podcast. I'm on iTunes, Spotify, Amazon Music, any podcast outlet.
I love that. And that's also your Instagram. Well, with your name. So I'm assuming that you put inspirational things up on your Instagram, that sort of stuff.
I do.
I love that. And what about like a community? Do you have a little online community?
No, I don't yet. My new thing is surrendering. So wherever it takes me, I will go. If that happens to be one of them, it will. Just at the time now.
That's quite all right, because I know that you are doing things, you're changing the world, and you're raising the vibration of the world. So, hey, however that shows up. Yeah, however that shows up, why not? So, we were talking about what you do and how you help people. And you were talking before about self-confidence. And I love, I kind of feel like sometimes people misunderstand self-confidence. And, I would love for you to describe what it actually is.
So self-confidence is not thinking that you're better than anyone. Again, when we have the true self-love and self-worth, you're not in competition with anybody. You're your own unique self. So self-confidence for me is walking in a room and not being in competition with anyone and knowing who I am and good with that.
That's extremely important, and not caring if everybody loves you or hates you, and and being okay with that. It's kind of like, women sometimes, they're so concerned about their relationship. Like, does he like me? Does he want me? Without even thinking, do I want him or her, depending on the situation. But, it's just, I think it's more about thinking more of yourself, but not necessarily more about yourself.
Exactly. That's the thing. So people always take self-confidence like, oh, you're vain, egotistical, narcissist. But there's a difference. They're egotistical people are really have lack of self-esteem altogether, or self-confidence, and this is the way that they mask it. So the difference between the two is someone that is confident in their own skin, just by the way they are and how they treat others, can tell you how they feel about themselves. So it's almost like the action or the energy versus the words, because a lot of times people will say something that they really don't mean. So walking in a room just feeling like you're something when you're not a famous anything. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, You need to know who you are. You need to know you're special and wear that. So
Mm.
on my post, one of my posts is confidence is the best outfit, because I don't care what you have on. If you
Yeah.
know you are good and you're legit and you're fine with who you are and love everything
Mhm.
about it, you can walk in with sweatpants and still feel like you're walking in with a prom dress. It's what you have on the inside that shows out.
It's true too, because, we are energy beings. So first and foremost, so what, you're going to remember how people make you feel, and more than you're going to remember how they look or anything else like
Right.
that. So it kind of, obviously it works from the inside out. So how you are showing up. Yes, I love that. So I know some different ways to build confidence, but you're the confidence lady. So what would you suggest?
Like I said, it's not a something. It's you finding that inner person. And like I
Mhm.
said, it's within. It's
Yeah.
not something that, you can go buy at a store or put on makeup,
Yeah.
clothing, nothing.
Yeah.
It's within.
Oh, 100%. No, I agree with you. I just think too that for me, something like, and this goes back to self-love too. It's like keeping my word to myself is a way for me to build my self-confidence, because I believe in myself more, because I followed through on what I said I was going to do. Something like
So
that. It's
those
like,
baby
that's self-love
steps,
too.
yeah, those
Yeah.
baby steps of moving forward and actually taking a step back and being like, wow, I was here and now I'm
Mhm.
here. Like, that's an
Yeah.
accomplishment that needs to be patted on the back for it.
100%. I'm a huge believer in celebrating the wins. And it,
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be huge. You should be
Mhm.
celebrating all the small stuff, because I can't remember where I read it or heard it or whatever. But if you don't enjoy the journey, how do you expect to enjoy the destination?
Yeah, exactly. And those are little gems and things that we should be enjoying. But because people are
Mhm.
so boggled down with life and the rat race and chaos, they can't enjoy the little jewels, or they don't even see them because they're
Yeah.
so, confused and all over the place. And it's
Mhm.
so sad and I hate it. Oh, I'm
Yeah.
not supposed to say hate, but I dislike it.
Well, you caught it.
I'm
That's
still
good.
That's the thing. It's not like you arrive to this, oh, you're healed, everything is amazing. It's
Mhm.
just finding those tools to keep going, because life is still going to throw things at you. You just need to
Yeah.
know how to handle them. It's an forever evolving situation.
Yes. It's a journey. It's,
Yeah.
a lot of people. One of my mentors always, and I love this example, is that you're driving a car and you stop at the stop sign. Well, you're supposed to keep going. It's just a stop sign. That's not your destination. You
Right.
might be stopped for a second, but that's not where you're not done.
Exactly. Exactly. There's still more work to be had, more
Yeah.
wisdom to gain. Yeah,
Yeah, you're not. Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, I know that when I first started my own spiritual journey, it was fascinating because I thought I would arrive.
Right.
I thought there was some destination, and the further along I got, I realized, oh, as long as I'm alive, as long as I'm in this human, meat suit, I'm going to be working on stuff. There's
Yeah.
always going to be something.
Mhm.
So,
Well, you have to look at it in this manner. My age, 35, 37 now. 35. I don't even know where I got 35. 37 years of all of this stuff that I'm unpacking now. You don't just
mhm,
unpack it in 3 weeks. It takes time. And,
yeah.
as you go on, you start to see things that weren't even, you couldn't notice. So there's layers to it, and you just have
Mhm.
to just embrace it and deal with it and move forward. That's the thing. Keep going.
Yeah, and I think it's important to mention too that growth isn't linear.
Hmm.
There's
Right.
no, we think of success and growth that it goes like that, but it never does. It's, all of this business. There's going to be good
Yeah,
days, there's going to be bad days, and, old habits and behaviors will pop up.
absolutely.
And I
But
think that,
you just have to
yeah.
be aware and catch it.
Mhm.
Well,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know,
And from what you're saying, I feel like having grace towards yourself is something that you are a big fan of. Like
absolutely.
showing yourself that grace.
Absolutely.
Oh, I love that so much. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. So when somebody's working with, is there like a certain type of, I mean, who do you attract is what I'm curious about.
Um, I feel like I attract probably younger to about mid, almost 50s is my thing. Yeah, it's kind of weird because it's like the younger and then it's a little bit of the older. So yeah, so the spectrum is a little off, but I think it's more or less people that just want to find that peace of mind. But sometimes they come to me for something different and not realizing what it is that they're actually looking for.
Exactly. They're looking at a symptom, but you're helping them with the problem instead.
Yeah.
No, I love that. So you mentioned peace of mind, and that's another term that I love, but it means something different to different people. I mean, is that what you help people define for themselves, what peace of mind is for them? Or would you consider peace of mind to be some sort of all over type of idea?
So peace of mind, like you said, is in the eye of the beholder. Your peace of mind is different than my peace. My peace is simply being present, being able to be aware and live every day for that day and be the best that I can be for that day, So that's peace for me, not allowing life's challenges define me or my day or take over my day, So I'll try to be, again, I'm not perfect. I'm not in this happy state every day, all day. But if I catch myself, instead of allowing myself to keep going with it and making it more into something than it should be, I kind of just like, you know what, let's make peace with it and move forward, because that piece of just settle, or almost as almost like the ocean not having any ripples. There's no tidal waves, nothing. It's just very serene. That's peace of mind for me.
Yeah, serene and peace of mind. I love it. Serenity is important.
Yeah.
A lot of people, myself included, sometimes, I kind of, it took me a long time to catch that hamster wheel mentality, like I get a thought and then I just mull it over and over and over. And then all of a sudden it just feels impossible. It feels impossibly big and it feels so real, even though it's just an emotion, and emotions come and go, as you know. But how do you help people stop that in their process? Because for me, like, I don't, if I'm in it, I don't necessarily even want to stop it because I don't feel like I can. So how do you help people grow to the point where they realize that they do have the opportunity to stop those thoughts in their own brain and switch it to something else?
So that's the thing. You have to be aware that it's happening, because sometimes you can be sitting at your desk doing something totally different and it's happening in your subconscious, and then you're up and you're like anxious. Oh my God, this is what now, and this crazy whole anxiety attack, and you don't even understand why you had that anxiety attack. But the truth is being mindful and aware right away. So the second you feel yourself, I say even check in with yourself every couple hours. What's going on? How are you feeling? Are you down, up? What's, just so you can get a mental gauge of where you are, because then your brain will go to that area and start to pay attention. Okay, I am feeling a little down, but why? And then fix it.
Maybe I'm wrong, but you strike me as somebody who's intuitive. And
so that's been, I hate to say gifts or one of my things, because I don't want to sound like I'm being boastful, because this is what he put me here to do, and I don't want to take anything from him. This is what he just planted in me. But unfortunately, I hear it. Not unfortunately, I'm going to take my gift and love it. But yes, I hear that a lot. And even younger, I would get these crazy feelings like something's off. Something's, I can't articulate it. I'm not mature enough yet, but I could always feel like something, just something.
Yeah, no, I call them God bumps. I can feel them on the back of my head. So that's how I knew.
Okay, so you get it. And I love that. And when you
Yeah.
said you're spiritual, that makes me feel so good because that's what's really needed. And I hate
Yeah.
it, but people are so afraid to just embrace it. Just all I say is do some research,
Mm-hmm.
look
Yeah.
around. And let
Yeah.
me tell you, that's all you're going to need. He will do the rest. I feel like it's my job just to place him at his door and then he comes out and starts shifting.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And the thing
Yeah.
is, I'm a science person, 100%. I love science. I
Okay.
went to school for biochemistry, but it's not either or.
Right.
If
Right.
if we're going to talk God and we're going to use God as like the describer, God created everything, including science. So God can work through
Everything.
science too. Hello.
He uses that. That's the thing is he uses all mediums.
Exactly.
Anything. He's put it
Exactly.
here. These are his things.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
No, I love
Absolutely.
that. Something that I can tell about you that I just feel compelled to share is that, I think that everybody has an intuitive gift, but they don't necessarily use it and they're not necessarily aware of it and haven't developed it.
Mm.
So, what I hear from you is how you help people develop how to hear and know their own self and teach them how to, and that's like part of intuition too, is like knowing who you are.
Yeah.
No,
Being
I
in
think that's,
tune.
yeah. Yeah, no,
Absolutely.
I hear that. I don't know why, but yeah, I just felt compelled to share that.
Well, yeah, I've heard that before. I mean,
Mhm.
younger I was weird or, a little abnormal and I felt like an outsider. But again,
Uh-huh.
like I said, all of my experiences were for real reasons because,
Yeah.
this is where I would have ended up for sure.
Well, what's kind of interesting too, and this is something that people even in their 60s, 70s, 80s deal with is, when you are afraid to even be seen because you're afraid of being rejected. It's like if I wasn't able to ask you that question or say that comment and you weren't able to vulnerably answer me, then we wouldn't have had that connection and missed
Yeah,
out on something pretty amazing. And that happens
exactly.
all the time. It doesn't even have to
Mhm.
technically be spiritual, as they say. It's just not being who you are
Yep.
and being afraid to show your true self. And wow.
And
Yeah.
that's why there's a lack of real connections because people aren't showing up as themselves. They're showing
Yeah.
up as these, I think society accepts me this way. So this is the
Mhm.
way I'm going to look and talk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why you have to unpack some of that stuff. I get it. That's why you got to unpack some of that stuff from the past because
Yep.
then if you know it and it's kind of like if you have something wrong with your car and you're driving around, you don't know what's wrong with it. It's gonna sit there and it's gonna drive you crazy. But if you go to the mechanic and they tell you what's wrong with it, now
Right.
even if you don't get it fixed right away, now there's some sort of peace of mind. It's like, okay, I can deal with this now.
Mm-hmm.
I feel
Mm-hmm.
like it's the same idea when you know what it
Yeah.
is.
But so in simple terms, just like that. So instead of getting it fixed, you can have this whole party in your head, like it's the engine, it's this and that. You get there and they're like, it's a nail in the tire. Let me just take it out for you. We'll patch it for free. You
Yeah.
know? But instead you're driving around with like, oh my God, this is gonna be millions of dollars. Now it's ruining your night, the next
Yeah.
day, the next week, instead of just, you know, that's the
Yeah.
same thing of taking care of yourself. You don't just let it be. If you feel it, explore it, start to be aware of it so you can do something about it.
Yes, address it.
Yeah, for sure. And
Yeah.
I think the thing is shame comes along with it,
Mhm.
unfortunately. Even if it has nothing to do with you. For myself, I, went through a lot of things in my childhood, but there was shame that came with it.
Mhm.
Didn't want to acknowledge it, wanted to pretend it never happened, but not understanding that it was just causing me damage,
Mhm.
not being able to move forward with it because I'm still in the shame mode of even accepting it. That's what a
Yeah.
lot of the problems are.
Yeah, there's so much shame. Shame
Yeah,
and oh.
it's awful.
And it's kind of, we inflict it on other people, but ultimately it's up to us to either accept that or move through it or yeah. Because I used to work in addiction recovery. So There's a lot of shame surrounding
Yeah.
addiction.
And so the thing is, people think of it like it's easier for me just to stay addicted than to have to go through and visit all of that and come.
Yeah.
It hurts
Yeah.
people, it's painful. And like I say, when people come to me and we go through our sessions and things, I never say that this is an easy process. But what
Mhm.
I can say is it's worth it. And you deserve it. You deserve to be lighter. You deserve to have a lighter heart. You just
Mhm.
deserve to live life freer than feeling like a
Yes.
slave to all of this craziness that had nothing to do with you. You were just an innocent bystander.
Yeah. And that's the thing too. It's like what you do. It's not that you can do the work for them, but you get to be there with them and support them while they do the work.
Yeah, I love it.
That's
I
yeah,
I mean, I work, but I don't work, if that makes any sense. I mean, I could,
100.
like I said, I'm a human. I have those days where I'm like, I have a lot going on today. But the
Mhm.
second the first call is on, I don't care what it is. I'm like, yes,
I am here. I'm here for you.
yes, I'm here. What do you need? Let's do this. Like it's my seat, and it's been my seat. I
Mhm.
just finally got the last little bit of stuff I needed to be prepared.
I love that. And I love that instead of choosing the victim role,
Right.
you chose to embrace everything and realize that you can see a bigger picture. That's just probably the best way to put it. You can see a bigger
Mhm.
picture. And I think too that a lot of people, myself included, when I start to get in the woe is me's and
Right.
all of that, it's because I'm so busy focusing on something so small like myself instead of looking at the bigger picture. When I'm thinking about something bigger than me, all of a sudden life gets more exciting.
Yeah. Exactly.
I love that.
Exactly. But you need to start your center to be you're exciting as well, just as
Yes.
exciting as everything else, because it's just then
Hmm.
that energy you have. You're excited about you, so you can be
Hmm.
excited for everybody else because you're in a good space.
Exactly.
It just is how it has to be to have that
Yes.
genuineness.
Absolutely. Well, we are almost out of time. We got about 3 minutes left. Is there anything that you would love to share with the audience or anything that you want to reiterate? Or do you have anything coming up soon that you want to talk about?
I just say, honestly, everybody deserves to be happy. So, however you can get there and get there soon because life just looks so much different when you
Hmm.
have that awareness and that mindfulness. So, as soon as you can get there, we can be happy. Honestly, if it's not me, it could be you, it could be someone else. I don't care who it is. If I could
Hmm.
just, plant that seed, that accountability and having someone to help guide really does
Hmm.
help however you find it.
I love that so much. And here's the thing too that a lot of people don't talk about, and I just want to touch on this really quick and get your thoughts. Is a lot of times when we are in a place that's not optimal, is we're around people that don't necessarily support who we're trying to become.
Right.
And what would you say to somebody, because you can't get rid of every single person in your life that isn't on the happiness bandwagon with you, but how do you grow and also minimize that? I don't know how to put it, like maybe
The
just like that
toxicity.
interaction. Yeah.
Okay, so the truth is you have to set boundaries.
Mm,
So first, it's that awareness to know how much you can take before
hmm.
now they're going to be invading your peace.
Yeah.
Because you need to be there for people too. I'm not saying shut everybody out, goodbye, but if they're going to continue to do harmful behavior after you've set your boundary and still being a toxic person in your life, then you're going to have to rethink about I might have to remove this person, right? But
Yeah.
if it's not that bad, you set boundaries and they're respecting your boundaries, then you need to start to be aware of how much of that person you can take before it starts to interfere in what you want for yourself.
Oh, I love that too, because you're not saying you have to get rid of everybody.
No.
Yeah.
Just know where they go and how much you can
Mhm.
do, and that comes with the awareness. You'll just
Yeah.
be on the phone with someone, and you can tell, are these energy suckers or are they givers
Mhm.
first?
Yeah.
And then also, how much are they taking? Is this something you can handle, or is it putting you under where you feel drained and you can't keep going after, because
Mhm.
that's a real thing as well.
Yeah, no, it absolutely is. Oh my goodness. Well, I think on that note, we do have to end, Miss Erica, but I just want to say thank you so much for being on the show today. It has been an absolute pleasure picking your brain, and I'm
Awesome.
hoping that people will reach out to you soon because I know you are very much needed.
Oh, thank you. And I really, really appreciate you having me. I truly am grateful.
Thank you. Have a great night. Well, everyone, that is all the time that we have for today. We will be back on Thursday. Enjoy your week, and we'll see you soon.